one of the parts of the movie that really affected me, because I have a person who I consider a good friend, I hope he does, who had testicular cancer. He was a professional duathlete in the early 90s, actually in the later 90s. And he had no health insurance and a lot of medical bills, and there was a place to turn. R.L. Smith, come on up.
Kind of an interesting story. I had got diagnosed with testicular cancer about a month after Armstrong did. I saw him racing over the Tour of Switzerland when I was over there racing. He didn't look right. I didn't feel right. You know, I mean, it was a very strange time. But I came back to the States and basically, much like Lance said, denied feeling pain, denied feeling sick, having a day where I was on the bike, I was feeling nobody could beat me, and then have to sleep for a week to recover from something like this, and couldn't figure out what was going on. Ended up moving out to Boulder, Colorado, and after Lance got diagnosed, I thought, well, crap, you know, maybe this is what's going on. I've got the lump, I have pains. My pains were mostly in my side right up here, which, you know, you sit on a bike for 6 hours a day, you're going to get pains. You're going to ignore these kinds of things. But anyway, I went through the same exact treatment that Lance Armstrong did. The cancer had moved up to my lungs at that point. It was a really interesting time because I could not figure out why in the world did I get this disease. And it wasn't until later on that somebody explained to me, you were overtrained all the time. You got some little thing that had popped into your body and it took hold because your immunities were so low that you couldn't fight it. You know, somebody asked me if, well, were you doing these drugs if you got the cancer? And it's like, my illustrious career would show that no, I was not doing any kind of drug whatsoever. So like George said, I was uninsured. I had bills that were astronomical. I could have bought a house in Boulder for my bills. It was really bad. After I had gone through the treatments and started to recover, my whole goal was to come back from racing again. I did the same protocol for chemotherapy as Lance did. Luckily, a friend of mine back in Kansas City used to ride with Lance on a junior team, and he called Lance's mom and got Einhorn's backdoor number in Indiana University, which Einhorn called me directly. Half an hour after I'd called and left a message, he called me back. And it was very interesting because he said, if your doctor is comfortable with it, give him my number. I would like to discuss what we can do to help you out so you can continue your racing career. I thought that was fantastic. My same friend also told me, before all this had happened, that Lance was actually dealing with this stuff back when he was a junior racer. He was dabbling with performance-enhancing drugs when he was 16 years old. You know, pretty scary. So I've kind of known that this whole, you know, dirty pool kind of thing that was going on. But anyway, let me get back to the story of what happened with Lance Armstrong Foundation. I have one question. We've all been affected by cancer, either having it, known somebody that's had it, going through it right now, whatever the case is. Does anybody in here know of anybody that has been helped out by the Lance Armstrong Foundation? Okay, this is where my interesting kind of point goes. When I was going through my recovery, trying to build myself back up to continue racing, I ran with one of Lance's higher-ups who was out here. You know, we didn't get together because of this. I ran with him, and he told me what he did. I said, hey, is there anything that you guys can do to help me out? Is there paperwork I need to fill out? I need help. I need help badly. I can't see a doctor now because I'm uninsured. My last day of chemotherapy was the last day that I got to see a doctor. I went for 1 entire year without being checked. That was the scariest year of my life. My not wife then, but now, had to live through this absolute hell. Is he going to die? Is he not? Does it come back? What's going on here? So I had asked, his name is Carl Hausman. I said, is there anything that you guys can do to help me out with this? And he told me, if you can raise $4,000, you can come down to Texas and ride your bike with Lance. Let me tell you something. That was the biggest kick I'd ever had in my life. That was very hurtful. So, Lance Armstrong Foundation is a bunch of shit. I think that, you know, however it goes, he's pocketing a lot of money from this foundation. you know, and nobody in here knows of anybody that's been helped by this foundation. It might give you hope, it might give you a reason to get up the next morning to try to survive. It doesn't help anybody. So you can draw your own conclusions from it, but that's, that was my experience with it.
Is Livestrong the same thing as Lance Armstrong?
Yes, that's what it became later on once it kind of got franchised, so to speak.